Okay. Thank you very much. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here as a speaker and not as an organizer, because normally I run around with my hair on fire, but not today. So I'm going to be talking about platform as a product. Are we nearly there yet? Why am I talking about this? Well, this might be shocking to some of you, but I'm actually quite old, maybe older than I look, but I've been in tech now for 25 years. But I've been talking about this topic for a long time, not 25 years, but longer than you think. And as Erica mentioned earlier, sometimes I feel like when I'm talking about it, I'm just shouting at the clouds and no one's really listening. So this is me, old lady shouting at clouds. I'm going to be treating this as my therapy session for the next 20 minutes. So there'll be a lot of ranting, maybe some crying, hopefully not. But I'm going to get these gripes off my chest. And when I've finished, I'm actually then hopefully going to share some interesting information, and I'm interested to hear, maybe in the open spaces later or the birds of a feather sessions, what other people are seeing. So, quick introduction. My name is Paula Kennedy. I'm the founder of a company called Syntasso. We make an open source framework for building internal developer platforms. I'm also an OG founder of FastFlow Conf UK, which has been 2 editions now, and we might do a sneaky one at the end of this year. We haven't actually decided yet, but keep an eye out for that. I do a bunch of other stuff in the community. I'm also a team topologies advocate, but let's get on with the talk. So, what is platform as a product? In its simplest terms, platform as a product is literally just applying a product mindset to your internal platform. It's as simple and as complicated as that. Now, product management as a practice has been around a long time, and internal platforms, even despite the current hype, have been around in one form or another for a long time, right? So neither of these things are new, but somehow applying a product mindset to your internal platform feels unusual or feels strange to some people. The original question I posed in my talk was, are we nearly there yet with platform as a product? And for those that like the answer up front, sadly, not yet. So it seems that despite the hype around platform engineering, despite the fact that these practices of product management have been around a while, and we've had information like team topologies coming out and talking about this, we're still not really there. We're still not seeing the benefits of platform as a product. So it could also be the case that actually some organizations are. We do see case studies coming out. The classic saying, like, the future's already here, it's just not evenly distributed, right? Not everybody is seeing the benefits. So to answer the question of why, I'm going to go back in time. It was interesting, Erica's introduction this morning, where she talked about, the past and how we're sort of trying to learn lessons. I'm going to take you through my timeline of platform as a product. So here's a bit about me. In November 2012, I founded a startup called CloudCredo. We were a services company around Cloud Foundry, helping customers use Cloud Foundry, which was an open source project that came out from VMware. Has anybody used Cloud Foundry? Anybody know about Cloud Foundry? Oh, good, a few hands. Platform as a service came out from VMware, was then donated to the Cloud Foundry Foundation under the Linux Foundation, and then VMware spun out Pivotal, along with some other stuff, Pivotal Labs and Pivotal Tracker and Spring and a bunch of other stuff. And that was about driving the adoption of Pivotal Cloud Foundry. So my company was helping customers use Cloud Foundry, the open source and proprietary distributions. During our time at CloudCredo, we worked with lots of different customers who were trying to basically implement Cloud Foundry. But the way we helped them was by trying to take some of the software engineering practices that we knew and actually applying them and working with customers for their platform teams to do the same thing. Things like pair programming, test-driven development. We were trying to bring those practices to the platform teams. And our CEO published a blog about how we were doing this we had this CloudCredo way, which was basically just trying to help customers apply these types of practices. That included some elements of product management. At this point, we weren't talking about platform as a product, right? That term did not exist, but we were still doing some of those activities. And we weren't the only ones, right? Famously, Netflix at this time were also talking about some of the things that they were doing, how they'd reorganized their teams into product and platform, and how their internal platform team was treating their users of the platform as customers, right? That's the thing that they were publicly kind of blogging about. And I've got some links. My very last slide, actually, is just like a wall of links. So you'll have links to all the things that I'm referencing and talking about. So 2015, moving along. CloudCredo, we were actually acquired by Pivotal. So that gave us the chance, my team, to work with even more customers. So my role at Pivotal was running the platform services team across Europe. And we were going out to customers, we were helping them to basically get Cloud Foundry up and running, but also more with organizational changes. We were helping them to understand who were the users of the platform, what were the platform users' needs, how could they kind of build the platform that met those needs, and then how could they identify big problems, how could they increase flow, even though, again, we weren't really talking about that, and how they could like evangelize the platform, market the platform, all of those kind of practices. In 2016, we actually at Pivotal, we took all the things we'd learned from our customers and all the things we'd learned from our software kind of consulting team in Pivotal Labs, and we put everything together and we wrote a white paper that was called it was basically about platform as a product and why you should treat your platform like a product. And that white paper is still available, right? Even 9 years later, it's still available and still actually very relevant. 2017, we were, again, continuing to learn more with our customers, working with more customers. At our Pivotal Spring One Platform Conference, there was a great talk from Dave Bartoletti from Gartner, and from Forrester, I should say, and he gave this talk, which was 5 cloud-native ops superpowers, which is definitely worth watching, right? He really called out about how operations teams need to move away from project to product thinking, what Manuel said in his talk. 2018, there was a fantastic talk delivered at the Cloud Foundry Summit in Basel, which was called Platform as a Product, How to Delight Your Developers and Deliver Value for Your Customers. I'm a bit biased because I gave that talk, but it was great. I mean, you should definitely go watch it. But again, it was basically just a summary of the white paper that we'd written, the experiences that we'd had, and we were really talking about how we'd helped customers succeed with platform as a product. But even then, even 2018, it felt like people were surprised by what I was saying. And then 2019 is when Team Topology's book got published, right? So this was great. Platform as a product was just a small part of that book, but it really helped to make that vocabulary more well-known. It helped to share those ideas, and suddenly it was more widely understood. And then we started to see more and more evidence building. So 2020 was when Puppet, the State of DevOps report came out from Puppet, and one of their key findings was like around the product mindset and how important it was and how successful it was. 2021, and then we saw the Team Topologies folks did a course, Platform as a Product, right? Hat tip to Manuel and the Team Topologies Academy, but the course covers a lot of the concepts and the key tenets around product management. 2022, we saw the very first Platform Con, which was a virtual event organized by Humanitech. Loads and loads of talks, great content if you want to go and look at it online, but a key theme that came out from that event was platform as a product. Probably half the talks talked about platform as a product, right? It was just a consistent theme. 2023, even the good folks at Gartner start talking about platform as a product, right? You've crossed the chasm at some point when Gartner were talking about it. 2024, so I submitted a proposal to the CNCF in 2024 to run a dedicated platform engineering day, the co-located day, as part of KubeCon, which got accepted. And so I was able to run that day in Paris and in Salt Lake City, and I'm running it next week, actually, in London. But that whole day is focused on platform engineering generally, but being program co-chair, I've been able to curate some of that content focused on case studies, user experiences, and platform as a product specifically. And here we are now in 2025, right? So surely by now, this is where the ranting starts, surely by now, after all these years of talking about this, everyone understands what platform as a product is, right? And everybody's doing it. Unfortunately not. So why not? Well, this is a question I ask myself all the time. But maybe there's no simple answers. I've got some ideas as to why this is happening. So for some people, it's a big change, right? If you think about the folks who are working in a platform team, they might have a background from operations, from sysadmin, from infrastructure. It could be that they've never been a product team that's focused on delivering an end user product. They might never have done user research or design or that type of thinking. And it's a big cultural change. You might also have stakeholders in the organization for whom they think platform engineering, great, it's the cool thing, we should do some of that, but they don't, again, understand what's actually involved and don't have that mindset. But gaining that understanding can sometimes mean bringing in people, right? Maybe you need to hire a product manager or a researcher or a designer, and typically that costs money. So in these tough economic times, it feels like that's an expense people could do without, and they don't want to invest in it. And we also see generally platform teams being underfunded because they're quite often seen as a cost, and it's not visible to see how they are generating revenue for the business. So we sometimes see them being underfunded. Even in the cases where the value of it is understood and there's money to invest, it can still be difficult, right? Because it's change, and change is hard. And you think that if you're going to go and ask your developers what they need to understand it, you might get feedback that you don't want to hear. Like, do you really want to go and ask someone what you think of the platform and they tell you, well, it's rubbish? So there's a reluctance, right? It's human nature that there's a reluctance to change. So all in all, it's hard, right? I'm not here to bash people and say, why haven't you done this yet? I mean, I do sometimes say that, but it is hard, right? It's not a simple thing to do. So the next question, is it worth it? Is it worth the effort to make this mindset change? Well, let's check the data. That was my best joke. Okay, good. So, is it worth it? Well, I mentioned the State of DevOps report. What else did that report say? Okay, so there's a few different things I'm going to call out. The report found that successful platform teams were those that treated their platforms as a product, right? So other organizations had platform teams, that was fine, but the most successful ones had that product mindset. What other data have we got? Well, I mentioned the talk I gave at Cloud Foundry Summit 2018. In that talk, I referenced lots of pivotal customers at the time who were following the practices that we introduced and were seeing benefits, right? So this is one case study that I called out, but you can go on the YouTubes and find many other customer case studies where they specifically talk about platform as a product delivering value within their organization. What about more recent ones? Well, I mentioned the team topologies course. One of the case studies they have in that course is a case study from Uswitch, where they talked about increasing both revenue and profit as the teams were adopting the internal platform that was being developed to meet their needs. And that video itself, if you haven't done the course, you can see that video. That video is available just on YouTube. And more recently, PlatformCon 2023, there was a great case study from Realtor.com where they talked about how they'd been able to evangelize their platform internally, they'd been able to get feedback from users, and actually sort of share success stories to drive adoption of the platform. And that case study was written up in the new stack by Jen Riggins, so again, worth a read. So, quick recap. We've been talking about platform as a product for a long time. It's just about applying product management to your internal platform. It is hard, but the good news is, right, there is loads of information available. Because we've been talking about it, some of us, for so long, there's lots of resources, there's lots of case studies, there's lots of evidence. If you are trying to build a business case internally to persuade other people that this is important, there's lots of evidence and information available to help you. But we've seen that it's still hard, so the next question is, what can we do about it? How can we actually fix the current situation? How can we go faster? How can we make progress? Well, the classic consultancy answer is, it depends. It does, though. It really depends on where you're starting from, quite honestly. So I mentioned there's loads of stuff available. I'm going to just call out a few things that I find valuable. Obviously, this is my #1 recommendation. I don't need to tell all of you, because you've probably all read this book. But when people are coming to me and asking me for advice, this is where I normally start from, right? Team topologies. I'm a big fan, obviously. But it's about lots of different things, about the flow and about the team interactions and all that stuff. But there's talk about platform as a product, and it's a strong recommend. This is another book I've started recommending. I don't know if anyone's read this book yet. Anybody read this? Oh, a few people. Okay, came out just at the end of last year, so it's quite hot off the press. It's very good. It's my short summary. There's a book review for you. It's not about the tech, though. This is about the social kind of and people and process aspects around platform engineering and platform teams. So strong recommend for that book. If you're further along in your journey, and you already have a platform team, and you have some platform engineering practices, this might be a useful tool to have a look at. This is the Platform Engineering Maturity Model. It came out from the CNCF Platforms Working Group, I think at the end of 2023. It's a model. It's not supposed to be a checkbox exercise where you try to get to the highest aspect, the highest level on all the aspects, right? It's not about that. The idea of this model is that you can use it as a way to check where you are and then set your own goals for progress, right? So you don't have to be at the furthest point. You just find out where you think you are on the different aspects and then set your goals for how you want to improve. It's just about improving. It's not about being at the highest level on all the different things. All of this information is available on the CNCF website, the model, the full details behind it. That working group is available. It's open. You can join it on the CNCF Slack. They're always looking for contributions. They're currently doing some research, actually, on platform as a product, which should be coming out later this year. And I think we're going to get an update next week, actually, at KubeCon, so that could be interesting. But if you're like me, and you're still feeling a bit frustrated, right? Maybe you're thinking that you've got a platform team, you've read all the stuff, and you still are frustrated. What else can you do? Or what else can you try? I mean, as Yoda says, there's no try, there's just do. Or do not. What can you do? If you don't already have a product manager, hire one. If you can't hire one, at least work out what the jobs are involved, what are the practices, and see if you can get people in the current platform team to do them. Right? The work should be done even if you don't have a person to do it. I mentioned that it's scary to get feedback, right? No one likes, I don't like to be told I'm doing a bad job, so it can be scary, but there's no better way to understand why your platform is not being adopted or why it's not getting value than asking the people who use the platform. The very best thing about running a platform and your customers are internal is you can just go and ask them. Or you can just jump on a Zoom call if they're distributed, right? You can actually ask the people straight up, what are they thinking? And if you think that user surveys aren't the answer, right? Maybe you're running surveys and you're not getting much quality feedback. Go and sit next to a person and watch them using your platform. You're going to learn so much, things that you wouldn't have even thought to ask questions of just by watching people doing it. There was a great talk, actually, about user research at Platform Engineering Day last year in Paris, which, again, I've shared the link at the end, but fantastic talk. As well as learning about what your platform users need, right, as well as talking to them and getting feedback, you also need to consider getting people to kind of use the platform, understand the platform, want to use the platform, right? This is a way that you can do that. You can try communities of practice. You could try seeking champions for your platform and raising up their voices, right? One of the core tenets of Team Topology's book is the platform people should want to use it, right? It shouldn't be mandatory. I hear Manuel and Matthew talk about this all the time. Platform should not be mandatory. People should love it. They should want to use it. So having these ways of being able to share information and bring people together and share success stories, that's really important. And obviously, one way to annoy developers is to give them a really bad experience, right? And once you've lost their trust, it's hard to get people to come back. So a way to prevent this, try using your internal platform yourself to achieve something, right? Because this is the whole drinking your own champagne or eat your own dog food or whatever you want to describe it. But if you use it yourself, you will see what the problems are. And then if you can make your platform as easy, as intuitive, as frictionless as possible, then people will love it, right? And this isn't once and done, just to be clear. This is a continually improving that you have to keep making the platform relevant. It has to keep getting better. And that is not the same as continually adding new features, just to be crystal clear. A platform is not a feature factory where you just keep adding to it. Sometimes you make your platform better by turning things off and deprecating things. Just ask Manuel about thinnest viable platform, right? That's a key thing to keep in mind. Okay, I'm getting close to the end now. I can stop ranting. Hopefully, I've convinced you of some of the benefits around platform as a product, right? You can take comfort in the fact that this is not brand shiny, new, untested. This is a tested approach. It has value. It has benefit. There are pioneers in our space who've been doing this for a long time, and you too can do this. And I'm really looking forward to later on today talking to people. I'd love to hear people's experiences, what you've tried, what you haven't tried, what's worked. I really want to dig in, because there's lots of people here who are going to be sharing their stories, and I'm interested to hear them. If you want to learn more about it, I'll be here all day, so you can come find me. I have some limited edition Cratic stickers, so ask me nicely and I'll share some of those. If you're going to be at KubeCon next week, I'll be running the Colo Day on Tuesday, Platform Engineering Day, so I will be looking like I've got my hair on fire because I'll be on stage most of that day. Or if you want to reach out to my team or learn more about what our product does and how we embed platform as a product into internal platforms, then you can scan this QR code. I mentioned the wall of links. Here's all the links. So lots and lots of books, talks, white papers, etc., etc. So I will share the slides and you can learn plenty. And with that, I'll say thank you very much.